What do you get when you combine an all inclusive resort, 7 days in Mexico, a birthday, a wedding anniversary, and a husband who absolutely refuses to just sit still on the beach? Well, you get this trip. In 2025, we headed to the Riviera Maya for 7 days at Oceaned Riviera Maya to celebrate my birthday and our second wedding anniversary. And while we were hoping for a relaxing week in paradise, this trip ended up involving flight delays, traffic, ancient Mayan ruins, cenotes, ziplining, ATVs, traditional Mexican food, and a whole lot of other food and drinks. So come along with us for 7 days in Mexico. Our trip actually started on Easter Sunday. Before we headed to the airport, we started our morning at church with our family. And then, after saying goodbye, it was time to officially start our Mexico adventure. Unfortunately, getting to Mexico was not exactly smooth sailing. We had several flight delays throughout the day, which already made long travel day even longer. Once we finally landed in Cancun, we got on our bus that took us from the airport to the hotel, and we hit traffic. So we got stuck on their highway, I guess, for about an hour and made it back to our hotel at 12:40 in the morning. So after traveling literally all day, we finally got checked into our room, got settled, and pretty much immediately went to bed. But of course, we had to do a little room tour before we hit the sack. For this trip, we decided to splurge a little bit and booked a room in the resort's privilege section. The privilege section is an adults only area of the resort and it comes with some additional perks. One of the coolest things was that we had a staff member assigned to us specifically to help us book things like making restaurant reservations, booking excursions, and helping us plan things during our stay, which definitely came in handy later in the trip. Room was amazing. The first floor had our bedroom and living area, and then we had stairs leading up to the second floor. Second floor was probably my favorite part. We had our own private rooftop patio with a hot tub and a really nice seating area. And because we were on the top floor, we had this amazing view overlooking the rest of the resort. Since we didn't arrive until 12:30 in the morning, we didn't get to fully appreciate the room the first night. But once we woke up the next morning and got to see everything in the daylight, we were very happy with our choice. After the craziness of getting there, our first full day in Mexico was exactly what we needed. We spent the day exploring the resort, checking out the pools, walking around the property, and of course, spending some time on the beach. One of the biggest reasons we booked an all inclusive was because we wanted at least a few days where we didn't have to worry about an itinerary. Just wake up, get breakfast, walk to the beach, grab a drink, eat some food, and repeat. After a long travel day the night before, we were more than happy to have a relatively uneventful day. For dinner that night, we went to the steakhouse restaurant at the resort. Our second full day was pretty much spent doing the exact same thing: eating, drinking, swimming, relaxing. Also, just taking in the views of all of the wildlife around the resort. But by day three, we discovered a problem. Jordan was bored. Apparently, sitting on a beach doing absolutely nothing for multiple days is not his idea of vacation. So we decided to book some excursions, and one of our first ones took us to the most famous place in Mexico, Chichen Itza. Chichen Itza is an ancient Mayan city located in the Yucatan Peninsula and is one of the most famous archaeological sites in Mexico. And here's a really cool fact: the pyramid is incredibly connected to the Mayan calendar. It has four sides, each with 91 steps, And when you add the top platform, that gives you 365, which is obviously the number of days in the solar year. The site was once a major center of Mayan civilization, and it was honestly pretty incredible seeing all of these structures in person.
Now do it.
After exploring Chichen Itza, our tour continued to a cenote. If you've never heard of a cenote, they're natural sinkholes filled with water, and they're especially common throughout the Yucatan Peninsula. After swimming, we had lunch and spent some time exploring the area. Then we headed into a small town where we got to experience some of the local culture. And this is where we tried something I definitely wasn't expecting: cheese ice cream. And honestly, it was not as bad as it sounds. It was actually really good. After a full day of exploring, we headed back to the resort and had dinner. Day 4 started very early. We wanted to take some pictures on the beach, and normally when we travel, we book a photographer, which you may have seen in some of our previous videos. This time, I became our photographer with my own camera and my tripod. We woke up around sunrise, brought the camera down to the beach, and set up our tripod to take our own anniversary pictures. The rest of this day we spent relaxing again, just hanging out at the beach, eating throughout the resort, and all of those things. And since this trip was also an anniversary and a birthday celebration, we had something special planned for this night. We had a candlelit dinner on the beach. Honestly, it was a beautiful way to celebrate. There's something pretty hard to beat about having dinner with your feet in the sand, listening to the ocean, and just watching the sunset behind you. And getting to do it with my favorite person in the whole world. The next day, we went out on another excursion. We headed to Tulum for a ziplining and ATV expedition. Now, this was much more Jordan speed. We went ziplining through the jungle and got to ride ATVs as well, which was basically the opposite of the relaxing beach day we'd had earlier. That's one of the things we love about traveling together. We definitely don't always want to do the same things, so finding a balance between relaxing and exploring makes the trip more fun for the both of us. We also got to go snorkeling in an underground cenote. After all of our adventuring that day, we went back to the resort and ate at the Japanese restaurant for dinner. Day 6 was our last full day in Mexico, so we wanted to experience one more thing before we left. That night, we went to a traditional dinner where we got to try different foods from the area while watching a live cultural performance. It wasn't just dinner, it was dinner and a show. This ended up being one of our favorite experiences of the trip because it gave us another opportunity to experience something outside of the typical all inclusive resort vacation. And just like that, it was already day 7, our last morning in Mexico. We grabbed one last breakfast, took one last walk around the resort, and tried to soak in as much time as we could before it was time to leave. Looking back, this was such a fun trip because we got a little bit of everything. We had plenty of time to relax at the resort, but we also got out and explored Mexico, visited Chichen Itza, swam in two cenotes, went ziplining, ATV riding, tried traditional food, and experienced some of the local culture. And of course, we got to celebrate two pretty special things: my birthday and our second wedding anniversary. Even with all the flight delays and travel chaos, this is definitely a trip we'll always remember. If you enjoyed coming along with us, make sure you like this video, subscribe to Between Flights, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next adventure. And let us know in the comments, would you rather spend a week relaxing at an all inclusive resort? Or would you be like Jordan and need an excursion by at least day 3? We'll see you in the next one.